사람들에게 내가 이렇게 딱 얘기한 순간 내 말을 딱 떠오르는 뭐라고 하냐면 그래 이런 것을 주변 사람들한테 읽어주고 정보를 하는 거지 이러는 거야.
말이 시킨 게
그치 그게 좋지. 너무 잘해. 너무 잘해.
Hi, this is Aram, Esra N, and Young-Rong. And I, together with Young-Rong, are directing the program for Future School, Intersectional Representation, Scattered Demarcation Line, and Responding Beings.
Yeah, our first session is Intersectional Representation, Migration and Diaspora, Hyphenated People. And we're gonna have today a cook and talk show with Esra N Karakaya. Thank you. Yeah, at this beautiful kitchen of Wimbledon Tellerrand in Schöneberg, Berlin. Yes, could you introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor.
Thanks a lot.
My name is Esra N Karakaya. I work as a producer, video producer, and journalist. And within the German context, I mainly focus on making voices visible that are normally marginalized.
Perfect. Yes. Yeah.
And there's a lot of way to talk about intersectional representation, like very serious way, but at the same time academic way. But today I want to make it more fun and light, because we brought the cooking into intersectional representation. So today we're gonna make kimbap, like cook kimbap, which is a Korean food, rolled rice with a nori. And the reason I chose this kimbap is that we all share the memory with the kimbap, and then we also have some experience of cooking it. And also, one of the important parts is that for kimbap, we can find every ingredient, unnecessary Korean market, but you can find every ingredient you like, up to preference of the various people you invite for your dish. I also invited Esra because she can also bring this dish, the ingredient, which influenced by her another heritage.
I recognize that what is the kosher part of the Korean cuisine. Since I live in Germany mostly, so since I live abroad, not in South Korea, I guess the kosher part is wrapping up. So like kimbap, so you wrap everything, all these ingredients and rice with kim, seaweed paper. And also like sam, so barbecue. You don't eat just meat, but also with other side dishes and vegetables and rice and dips. You just put everything on the lettuce or sesame leaves, and then you just wrap up and then eat together. It's a quite kind of very active, activity, the eating itself. It's a kind of metaphor for me. You can bring all different types of ingredients in your taste, what you like, and then put everything together and eat, and also easy to share. So easy to share the food and also moments. Yeah. So we prepared this kimbap for today. Thank you for this great idea, Aram. Yeah.
So today we can also start talking about the ingredients we brought. So
Yeah,
I can start because it's not easy to find the exact same ingredient which I used to have in Korea, so I kind of improvised to use this smoked tofu. I think it's also improvisation of European people using tofu, because we also used to make eating nacho tofu, nature tofu, like soft one, but I've never seen this smoked tofu. And I thought it's going to be really good adaptation for kimbap. Like it can be a good substitute of ham, also for vegetarians. And also the vegan cheese, which is also new for me, but I want to try. And I also brought the sesame leaf, which I grew in my garden.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
What did I bring? I went to get köfte. It's kind of like meatballs. I like them. They're nice. I love their. It's not just like plain meat, but it has like a nice. I'm only thinking of the Turkish word, spices, baharat, exactly. It's like very nice. It's just, and life just gets nicer when you eat this one. I'm so sorry for all the vegetarians out there, but I'm sure if you just use the ingredients, the baharat, the spices for like vegan meat, I'm sure it's also very nice.
Yeah.
And I also brought sarma, which is actually also, I think it's sesame leaves.
Is it?
No, it's
No,
wine.
weinblätter.
Yeah.
Weinblätter. So grape leaves?
Yep.
Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
So you have great leaves, and then you roll in rice and different spices, and like it changes from region to region in Turkey. And then like typical side things like cheese and like olives and jajik. I think in German you say tzatziki.
Yes.
It's kind of like yogurt and garlic. So.
Yeah, we can dip this in the tzatziki. Yeah, and normally Korean don't dip kimbap in soya sauce, but here we see maybe because of the Japanese culture, but yeah, it's nice. It's always nice to have soy sauce. Yes.
It go well with the hummus also. You dip
Yeah,
kimbap
that's
in
true.
hummus. Yeah.
Oh dang.
Everyone can try later.
Yeah. Good idea. Yeah. And my choice was tuna mixed with mayonnaise, so mayo, tunfish mayo, and also as alternative for sesame leaves because it's a little bit hard to get one. I brought petersilia, so parsley. Yeah, there are two different types of parsley, and this one has a little bit wider leaves. Yeah, so yeah, it's quite good for the tuna and mayo. Okay, maybe we can start, right?
Okay. I didn't know that Esra have never rolled, so it's a little bit. And then we are using the hand gloves.
Sounds so weird. It's like a ASMR.
No, it's like ER room. So
yeah. So
Let me
like, can you hear? Yeah. Oh,
This is something. But this is so common in Korea. The YouTube channel only show the sounds from the cooking.
Right.
It's like.
I never know whether I should be relaxed watching those videos or whether it makes me really like provokes me and like makes me really aggressive.
Because they eat a lot, right? Yeah.
Okay, and also today we're gonna mix the languages as well. So basically,
Thank you.
we speak in English because the whole program is
Supposed to
actually
be in English, easier
Exactly.
for wider audience. Yeah.
Yeah, but the good thing is we three can understand and speak in English and German and Korean, and it's not like it's not about okay I can speak three languages, but more like it represents our the reality.
Yeah.
And my German is not perfect, my English is not perfect, and I'm Korean. My mother tongue is Korean, but my Korean is also not perfect. So yeah, that's why we can just mix everything. And then when we had meeting before this event, it was it was great experience because we just mixed three languages at the same time and just without any kind of fractions or problems, and then it just goes so fluently.
Yeah.
And it was kind of empowering experience for me because you don't have block or wall or hindrance, any kind of hurdle in your head.
Yeah.
Because always here is something going on, and you have to stop here, you have to speak in German, you have to speak in English, you have to speak better. This kind of burden I have all the time living in Germany, but yeah, in this round I felt so free, and of course we cannot we cannot mix just completely three languages, but I guess we can put some spices, German and Korean if we need.
Yeah.
Right?
For me, the most important thing is sometimes when I speak Korean, there's words that I don't know, right? So I can just say the sentence in Korean, but then the word in English or in German, it's like, awesome, cool, they understand me. Whereas if I was in Korea with my family, I'd be like, okay, Esra, think what was the word? What was the word? And I'll be like, and I'll take out my phone. I'm like, okay, Neighbor, like look at the the 사전 and look at the word,
The dictionary,
But then that one, I agree, it was definitely like very much like chill, very much like.
Exactly. Yeah. You just see, but spread the
It's too much.
rice a bit thinner as possible. If it's stick too much, you can put some of sesame to help the rice be spread better.
Feels like I need music right now.
Yeah, I agree. Nice.
So what's your so you only had kimbap from your mom's side, right?
Yeah, definitely. My mom,
She never let you to roll by yourself because she's not trusting you to roll better. Because that's how my mom was like that.
Oh,
'Cause
Really?
I only started rolling kimbap only when I came here. Because
oh wow.
in Korea you can grab buy on the street very easily, and at home your mom always suspicious of your cooking skills. And then here I have some several like events that I wanted to treat the Korean food for friends, and then I studied because the YouTube helps me a lot nowadays. And then the famous YouTube cook star chef.
백종원. You watch often?
Yeah, I do.
백종원?
After I moved out from home, okay, for some reason when I was at home, I never really participated in cooking for the family. My mom always took over that role, and then I moved out, and then I was like, I need to know how to make Korean food.
And you need now a guru, cooking guru.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
Korean cooking guru.
And then what's interesting is, so I started moving out and I didn't know how to cook, like at all. Like this, I could do like eggs, and that's like the basics. And then I noticed when I made like German foods, it never made me full. So when I eat German food, it makes me full at that moment.
That you mean?
It makes me feel that, but it doesn't satisfy me on an emotional level.
Doesn't satisfy your emotions.
It doesn't. But when I make Korean food, this is when I'm like, when 된장찌개, I'm like, okay.
I know exactly what you mean, and she as well, definitely. Look at that. Rice.
I think you're perfect.
Looks like block.
Well, it looks perfect, at least, you know. But and then just don't forget you will gonna put a lot of ingredients in it. So let's try not to make it blow up, like break down. But we'll be fine.
Wait, how do I make this better?
No, it's perfect.
Yeah, it's
It
perfect.
is?
Perfect. Yeah. Look at mine.
Okay.
I'm not the perfectionist.
So we grab basically these three. Well, the cucumber and this is a uong. How it's called? The roots of.
Lekha.
It's the roots of some vegetables, and this is a radish. So three of them are pickled, so you can give really like seasoned flavor. So these three are basic vegetables.
Yeah.
And then besides this, you just put whatever you like up to your preference and taste.
Yeah.
So I'll stick to vegetarian vegan version, and then you can stick to your
Kofte.
yeah.
And I'm gonna do what I want. So let's start.
Okay.
I pick a cucumber first.
And important is to try to make it buntes, like colorful as much as possible.
Yeah.
There's this thing what like aunties and like moms do. I feel like I'm like, Mom, how did you do it? Teach me. She's like, easy. You just do this. You do this. And then 45 minutes later, I'm like, I have no idea what you're trying to tell me.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, mom never cooks somehow with a recipe or something like this guidance. They don't need YouTube.
Yeah.
Yep. What my mom, she also enjoys watching Baek Jong-won with me. Like sometimes
yeah?
we watch
Okay.
videos just like that, just for fun.
But for your mom, she came here 30 years ago, more than that.
My mom, I think she came in. I'm a little bit more than 30 years, maybe 35 years.
Yeah, back in that day, I'm pretty sure it was so tough for her to find Korean ingredients here.
For sure.
And also learn Turkish cuisine also, right?
Yeah, but okay, what's interesting is at home she like because my dad and my brother, they don't like just like pure Korean food.
Pure Korean food, okay.
So like what she does, I mean like, you know, with like the typical Korean spices. So she mixes up Turkish spices and Korean spices.
For example?
For example, she'll do, when she does like 볶음밥, she will also use, I don't know, maybe throw in some kofte or like, you know,
okay.
or like when she does like a meat dish that you put in the oven, she'll do like Korean spices inside of it. So it does taste like a little bit different.
So let me show you, Esra, how
Yes.
to roll the gimbap.
Cool.
Okay, this is gonna be
Actually, I'm gonna just
in
put
the
this
beginning.
one.
Okay, you can.
Yes.
The chili, yeah. So from here, you hold it with the nori together,
Hold on.
and just think about this end of the part will stick to this
Right.
rice part. So you think it as a glue, but with your hand, like hold it, the ingredient together, and glue it to the rice, exactly, and then press up it.
It's too big. I need to take something out.
No, I think it works.
Really?
That's the magic of gimbap. No worries. Yeah. So press.
If this looks ugly, Mom, I'm
It's
sorry.
fine. No, it's fine. press, and then bring it up a bit, rolling a bit. And then you see there is, in the end of the nori, put the water a bit, and it can work as a glue.
And
a
if you need, you can also use a bit of here rice.
as a glue.
Yeah.
The super traditional way.
Yeah.
Just the end of the. Okay.
I remember watching my mom do this.
Ah, okay. So your mom also glue it with the rice.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
And then roll it a bit, and then press. Slightly roll, press, and then. Yes. Do you think it's holding together?
I think so. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yes.
Let's roll it.
So like press it, press it, press it. Let me see mine. Okay. This vegan.
Cool.
Oh! I told you it holds
It's,
anyhow.
it's kind of cute.
Perfect.
Yeah, it is.
This one's with meat, so I'll put it right here.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as pretty as yours, but the next one is gonna be pretty.
Yes.
Just a second, Aram. You can maybe put the vegan gimbap
Okay.
here.
I can put vegan here. And then yes, and always this rough part of nori facing toward the. So this is a glatt, and this is like rough. So the rice goes to this rough part side. And then
I
maybe
like
it's this much of rice is enough.
Okay, try here.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Okay.
Reicht, oder? Ist sogar ein bisschen viel?
I think it's good.
Okay.
Yeah. I prefer to make rice less, so that I can put more ingredients inside.
Right.
But it's all totally up to the taste of people.
Understand. Yes.
How did your mother prepare all the ingredients then? Back
So-
then, I mean.
To be honest, I should ask my mom, but what I do remember though is there's this Korean grocery store in Berlin. It's called 삼일상사.
I heard it's really old one, right?
Yeah, and I remember like since I was young, she would call and like have like a huge Bestellung order, and then they would deliver it to us with like a huge thing, and oftentimes they would also just give us dog for free, just like as a
Dog.
present.
Oh, nice.
And then that's like what I would like look for.
Wow.
Mom, did they send the dog again? And then, so I'm not too sure because before there was no internet when we were younger. There was no, and my mom wasn't. It wasn't like my mom was like very well connected within the Korean Berlin community. So she was very much by herself.
What was the reason? I heard that your mother, she came to Germany because of the war, correct?
Yes, she. Well, I mean, she studied arts in Korea.
Art.
Arts, in her undergrad, and then she wanted to come to Germany out of different reasons. I mean, economic reasons, and also knowing my great grandmother. So her. No, not my great aunt. So her aunt was already in Germany, part of the guest workers.
Ah, okay. She was nurse.
So it made sense for her to come to Berlin, and then she decided to move. And this is also where she met my dad in Berlin.
In school.
In university, she was studying German in the Vorlesungssaal, in the seminar room. And then my dad happened to be there, and he was also studying. They were preparing for an exam or something like that, and then that's when they kind of talked for the first time.
So your father and mother, they both learned German in Germany.
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
And my mom, she told me that she went to Goethe Institute before she came. She learned like the basics.
Okay.
And my dad, I think my dad, he learned when he came, right? Like he did his Abitur, or like high school in Turkey. And my Turkish side, they were already in Germany, but he was the last one who stayed behind, and then he came when he was 18 or 19, I believe. My mom was, I think, 21. That's when they...
Let's see.
Interesting. But then what is the main language in your family?
My mom, she learned Turkish, so when my dad is at home, we all speak Turkish. My dad has never learned Korean,
Mm-hmm.
which I think sometimes is kind of sad. I mean, he knows some words, right? He makes fun, and he's like, he knows when my mom is angry.
So your
And
mom learned Turkish.
she learned Turkish, yes.
And, wow.
Um,
Also
Nice.
German after
yes,
Turkish.
yes,
Wow.
yes. So my mom speaks also 4 languages. English, she knows basics. My dad speaks 2 languages, Turkish and German. So when we're all at home, we speak Turkish, mixed it sometimes with German. If there's like words, only with my mom, I only speak in Korean with her. My brother also mainly speaks Korean and German with my mom. My brother and I, we only speak Turkish to our dad. Sometimes speak with German. My brother and I, we used to only speak German to each other when we were younger. My brother and I, but then after a while we started talking more Turkish to one another. So right now it's Turkish and German with my brother.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Interesting.
It's really nice to hear that everyone understands somehow the Turkish and German, so that no one is excluded in the conversation.
My dad is always excluded, but it's okay. I mean, he didn't learn Korean, so that's what he gets.
Yeah, and there must be also a lot of questions like us, this cliche question to you also in Germany that like about your also your religion and your also backgrounds.
All the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all the time from your childhood, right?
Definitely. I mean, childhood, and yet still to this day, obviously. And has always been, it's always weird. It's weird because, I mean, we as humans, we're all so unique, right? We're one entity. You are one entity. You are one entity. I am one entity. And then trying to kind of, I guess I have a feeling that people sometimes struggle with just accepting that we are in itself like a unique entity, and that, you know, they want to be like, okay, so like, but how does it work? That, because I mean, and they would always, when I tell them that I'm Korean Turkish, there's this moment of like, error, it doesn't work. How is that? And then they'd be like, oh, was für eine krasse Mischung, and like what kind of mixture? But it's I feel sometimes it's offensive because you are also a mixture. You are also everyone in this room is a mixture, right? So because we are, you know, inherently from 2 people. I had a phase where I did kind of disagree and was like, hey, this is not cool. But then now there are conversations like you'd start a discussion. I'm like, no, I don't want to start a discussion with like fremde Menschen, people that I'm not familiar with.
Yeah,
So I just be like, yeah, right, I'm a nice picture. And it's a very colonial way of looking at things, right? Because if you would,
Sure.
I don't think that someone who's half Swedish, half U.S. American would ever get this like
Yeah,
sentence of like,
yeah,
oh, what a nice
yeah.
mixture, right?
Yeah.
Because it's white, so like
What a nice mixture.
it's just very, it's odd. It's very odd.
And also from the community side of Korean community side, also from Turkish community side, people also keep asking about, right?
Sure. Definitely.
Yeah, there's a huge Turkish community here in Germany, so that's why I was, I just thought that maybe, you hear more this kind of questions about your identity and how you look, this kind of questions you get more from various sides than we get. Because Aram and I, we are, how to say, the first, we are obviously looking, I mean, we look like, obviously, East Asian, and we are also the first generation. Nice, yeah. We are first generation of immigrants, and we look like, so obviously, foreigners, so to say, in Germany.
I'm not sure whether I would agree with that necessarily, because that would assume that Germanness is linked to whiteness.
Exactly.
Then, right?
Exactly. That's the reality. That's the how we look like, and that's the how we receive their reaction mostly. And of course, maybe we also have this kind of stereotype. I mean, this idea of the stereotype in our mind. That's why we just easily identify ourselves as, okay, we are foreigner, we're from Korea, so we are not German. It's quite obvious, but your case is more complicated, and then definitely, I guess, you heard more these kind of questions. Not only one side, okay, you're not German, or are you German, or du sprichst ganz gut Deutsch oder sowas, sondern, but maybe from German side, I mean, what is the German side? It's a huge, big question.
Right.
From this the side of the society, German society, and also Turkish migrant society, and also maybe Korean migrant society, I guess you heard these kind of questions like Dolby sound surrounding,
Definitely.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Definitely, you have so much experiences. Yeah?
For sure, and I think the most common question, or like I guess the main theme is always like, what race, like what ethnic heritage do
Which
you
box
most
you are
exactly,
fitting, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Choose a box. You need to choose a box.
Yeah.
But then I think this is where like the area where I grew up in is so important for me. And growing up in Wedding, Berlin Wedding, it's a space where I would say I feel most home because there's so many different communities. And I mean, obviously it's not like there was no violence. Obviously when we went to school, there's a lot of racism, sexism, all of these very violent structures, but it still was, I was able to move in spaces and be with friends who, you know, that allowed me to be who I am, in which I didn't have to really choose those boxes, even though I also want to acknowledge that oftentimes the way we grew up was oftentimes we also use those boxes. We often use those social, let's say, theories and like social categories for us to navigate in. But at the end of the day, we were like, whatever, man. You, me, we're both from Wedding. There was this kind of Wedding pride, right?
Weddinger.
Yeah.
In a way.
So for you, like feeling sense of belonging, being in Wedding is so important, right?
Yes, definitely.
Ja, ist ja die Kids-Kultur, ja. Auch von
Ja.
diesen, also ich wohne selber, also ich bin kein gebürtiger Deutsche und ich habe keinen deutschen Pass. Aber irgendwie habe ich so ein bisschen Gefühl, mein Gefühl ist so verankert als eine Moabiterin sozusagen, seit 7 Jahren. Ich wohne in Moabit und das ist ein bisschen, also ich hasste Moabit, als ich umgezogen bin. Irgendwie, das war einzige Option, bezahlbare Option sozusagen damals, aber mittlerweile ist so wie mein Zuhause. Also wenn ich jetzt nach Korea fliege, ganz ehrlich gesagt, ich fühle mich nicht so ganz zu Hause, weil ich tatsächlich kein Zuhause habe. Genau, du hast bestimmt, du bist in Wedding geboren.
Ja.
Ja.
Ich bin wirklich, das Lustige ist, ich bin ja wirklich in Wedding geboren. Nicht nur in Berlin geboren, sondern Wedding geboren und aufgewachsen. Und ich lebe immer noch in Wedding.
There's such a pride for that, right?
In a way there is, because the pride is, like, when we were younger, you were ashamed in a way to say that you're from Wedding. You would not mention that you're from Neukölln, you know, which is a very similar, it's also like a very heavily, let's say, the higher percentage of people
Like stereotyped and stigmatized.
exactly, of racialized communities, and also a lot of working class people. And so, you know, us growing up there, it's like, that's right. Yeah, this is where we come from. This is where we grew up. But I also like, what's interesting is because of gentrification, Wedding is so different from like 20 years ago, but it's still in my mind. I still live in that Wedding from 20 years ago. So it's still sometimes weird acknowledging the changes, acknowledging that it's not the tough area anymore. But it's just weird. It's so weird.
So you
like,
miss the tough days.
in a way.
Yeah.
In a way, I feel so home. I feel home in areas like that, you know? I feel comfortable in a way. But it's, I guess maybe it's also, maybe I'm also just glorifying things that when I was younger were really terrible, you know? Even though this area made us be able to experience a very certain kind of home and district, but at the same time, you know, you don't walk around at night. You as a woman, especially as a girl, you watch out. I mean, stuff gets stolen all the time, and then you have fights, you know, literal physical fights, very often in school. So you can't escape racism, sexism.
We already produced rolls of gimbap, right? And then I think after Young-Rong rolls are finer, we can start cutting.
Yeah, I'm hungry.
Yeah, we are getting hungry, actually.
And I mean, expats, there are also other types of migrants, like foreign students or foreign workers, migrant workers, and also refugees,
That's right.
and the people who are seeking asylum. So it's a different legal,
Status,
status.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So they each has completely different life and reality. And also most of the time, each lives in different district in Berlin.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah. So you are Weddinger, du bist Weddingerin, yeah. I'm also interested in how you see all the gentrification. Also, maybe, we can describe it as gentrification. Also, maybe development or just simply change, all the changes in Wedding, in Berlin. How do you see all the changes?
It's a tough one because I often think about it, and I think we also often have talked about this topic. So one thing that I'm seeing is there's some kind of Aufwertung happening, so kind of the quality of the space kind of going up, which in itself is okay, which is nice. Even also racialized communities, working class have are deserving of nice spaces.
Yep.
But what's problematic is that these spaces that are kind of new and they're being built, they're not accessible to those who have normally lived there. So you have like a lot of Studentenwohnheime.
Studentenwohnheim,
Yeah,
Like-
dormitory for students.
Right, right. And those are like super expensive. When I was a student, I was trying to get in one. It's not even my price range.
It's too cheap.
Lord,
Yeah.
I wish. I remember there's this one corner where there was like 4 or 5 businesses that have been there for like the last 20, 25, 30 years since I could think.
Wow.
And they were all like, they had to move out because now there's a new building
Okay.
being built. But then I also see there's one thing that in the area where I grew up is very nice, and that's the 도서관, the
library.
bibliothek,
Yeah,
bibliothek,
bibliothek.
and
도서관, yes.
that one is really nice, and it's like nice design. The architecture is nice, and it's accessible to everyone.
Exactly.
You don't have to be, you don't have to be a student. You don't have to be paying a lot. You don't have to be earning a lot. So that kind of Aufwertung, or like, how do you say Aufwertung in English?
Assessment, like,
Or like
improvement.
Improvement. That kind of improvement, I think, is amazing. That is accessible. But any other kind of improvement in terms of like spaces and like prices, I find annoying, and it makes me. It's just crazy that those people who have been underserved in this past, marginalized, who have been criminalized, are the first ones who have to leave Wedding, right? Because they don't have they didn't get the means to leave working class, and now they have to leave their space, their home, that they built up, and what other people consider as cool and like hipster. That's like what basically these communities, our communities, have built. So it's you can see that how capitalism is kind of building on top of that, and it's sometimes very frustrating.
Speedy, right?
Yeah.
Can you pass me the sesame
Oh, yeah.
so that I can coat this kimbap with a glossy and make it easier to cut also.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so all this, not just gentrification, all this integration policy and discourses around Germany kind of, I guess, drove you to kind of make your own channel for this underrepresented people.
Right. Okay, so interestingly, us growing up, we call ourselves foreigners, even though we were born and raised in Germany, right? So that's like, that was very normal. So growing up, the media narrative was like, like these racialized communities, they need to integrate themselves. There needs to be integration, which I think is a very, very violent way about talking, instead of really naming the systems that keep us out of, resources. It was rather the German government, the German media narrative, putting the responsibility on those who are already those who have been harmed. So in terms of like, I'm not going to give you anything, but you need to make sure that you learn our culture. You need to learn German. You need to do that. And I don't see that happening, for example, with people and communities who are not from like the global South, who are not Western, who are not colonial or imperial. So growing up and like watching that kind of narrative, finding that the word integration is super violent, I was like, what, I am not waiting for the media world, for the government, for the state to be like, we did wrong. We have racism. We should change, you know? No, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it upon me to make sure that people are being seen. And I think the moment that was so relevant for me was I was angry at the way how women with hijab, with the Muslim headscarves, are displayed and are displayed in Germany. Because it's always in a context of like violence and like terrorism and in terms of like the Islamization of, you know, Germany, like us always being seen as a threat or as refugees. That is like the only narratives. But the way that, you know, but it didn't depict the facets and the realities in which I and my a lot of sisters and I grew up. So I was like, I'm gonna take it upon myself and do a show. I just want to do it, and it's gonna be the first episode was 6 women with hijab talking about a sweets commercial in Germany where, you know, a woman with hijab was depicted. And that was kind of the beginning of the talk show. Back then it was called Black Rock Talk. Now it's called Karakaya Talks. What we basically do is we curate topics and experts that millennials and Gen Zs of color care about. That's like basically what we do. And I hope that the work that we do, we can normalize the visibility of different peoples. We can normalize the tonality, right? So when different people speak, that it's not how they speak, it's not how they look, but it's rather what they say that really moves us, right? It's like, wow, that person's saying this and that. So it's
that's the point.
Maybe I'm not saying that we're doing it better, but I think what we're doing is we're filling a gap that German media was not able to fill within the last 40, 50 years. Because so many communities, we're not here, like, we didn't arrive here yesterday. And also there's racialized communities that are actually from Germany, like the Roma community, Roma and Sinti community. They haven't migrated necessarily. They're like part of this land, but even those peoples are not seen, and they're heavily stigmatized, the way that they're racially profiled, it just gives me goosebumps. So I think creating the space, it's a space of solidarity, space of like acknowledging, it's like, oh, I see, I don't necessarily agree with you, but I honor your existence, I honor your perspective, and thank you for existing. So I guess that's the kind of space that and the kind of mood that we're trying to go with our show.
And also very nice to see that there's a lot of humor. It's not only serious news and not only of struggle, but also you're really weaving the stories and different people with the humor and also this good kind of trust-based talk, I would say. And I guess YouTube, this new platform, helped a lot for this, right?
Definitely. I mean, it's not necessarily a new platform. It has been there for a while, but
true.
It is new in terms of like journalism happening on that show and like kind of these social media platforms, even though they have their own challenges, they allowed us to kind of claim space that we otherwise wouldn't have been able to do.
So, Aram, could you pass me the knife, maybe?
Do you want also?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Let's eat. Hungry.
It's like a magic box.
Thank you.
Everything inside.
Thank you.
Yes.
And also maybe sesame oil as well?
Okay, you gotta show me how to do it though.
It's important to also
thank
coat
you.
it with the sesame.
Yeah, let's just coat with oil.
Yeah, but I really, even in my school also, like with my friends, there are so many people watch your show.
Oh yeah, they do?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And I'm pretty sure that you see a lot of feedback from the viewers also that they really have their connection and commonality watching the shows and their in terms of their experiences for sure.
Definitely. This is mainly what we do. Like we always go into like feedback and like talk to the people, you know, that we want to reach to see what we can do better, you know, and what we already are doing good. And actually, that's what they tell us. They're like, when we watch your show or your show as a team, we feel a sense of belonging. We feel like it's okay to exist the way that we exist, because also, yes, I mean, when you look at the show, you oftentimes see or recognize the how these people are racialized, but at the end of the day, there's so many facets to them, right? There's queer racialized people, there's trans queer racialized people, so there's so many different kind of categories. They're not seen like necessarily on the first spot, but it's it's so vital to everyone's entity, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
In that sense, I also find my intersectional representation through these kind of activities and also these kind of like contents. I can also connect myself to also with other migrants, also other communities here.
Right,
Definitely.
right. Nice. So am I doing this right?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, good. Because like depending on the knife, the sharpness, it can be hard, but I think it works fine.
That's okay. I think so.
So this is gonna be tuna platter. Also, you
Ah,
can
you
put
have-
the no. She can put the
I really want to eat one.
please.
Please,
Can I?
it's mine.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
And honestly, this is my favorite part. The end.
꼬다리.
꼬다리. Yeah.
I don't like 꼬다리. Please. And for you as well.
Thank you.
I would love to try kofta. Where's kofta?
That one right
Maybe
here.
This one? Yeah, that one? Yeah, okay.
Please try.
Thank you. Ich habe die Anspange.
Egal, ist
Vielleicht ist
einfach.
er ja anstrengend nach dem Essen.
Egal. Look, this one I didn't cut nice, so I am gonna eat this one.
This is what moms do actually.
Yeah?
That's why moms usually get full before she serves, because she eats every edge and also the broken kimbap.
Yo, this is really good.
lecker.
This is really good, man.
Yeah? Ah,
What is it?
kefte with tzatziki?
No, with Weißkäse, dieser
Feta.
Schafskäse, glaube ich. Ist Feta?
Ja, Feta oder
Schafskäse.
Schafskäse.
맛있어.
Yo.
Wow.
We should open up a restaurant.
In Corona-Zeit. Corona-Zeit,
Feta, ja.
du bist jetzt im
We'll do an
mutig, ja?
imbiss. Like a truck. Food truck.
Maybe you can start making kimbap for your mother.
Oh, that was sweet.
Actually, she would like it. I think she would like it.
And also maybe for father as well. If
They
you
would
don't
like this one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we cooked them.
They will eat this one for sure.
Speaking of your program, I would like to ask which one somehow, what kind of experience do you have which is just stuck in your mind, like kind of game changer or turning point, kind of guest or story or moment?
Within the show or in my personal life?
Within the show and also in your life as well then. Sorry.
Well, you're like investigating Esra's like life stories.
I mean, I wouldn't say there's one turning point there because we have had so many turning points. I mean, just alone the fact that we already, the first episode and 3 years ago, like 2018 that we published, that alone was, I think in a way, for me at least, it was a moment of healing because it was a kind of, eine Form von Selbstbestimmung, zu sagen so.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Selbstbestimmung. Yeah, we can add it as a.
Also es ist so ein bisschen dieses, it's so empowering because I was so scared and I told myself, like, who do you think you are to be making a video where 6 women with hijab are seen who talk, and who do you think you are to like just publish a thing like that? It's not like I had reach back then, right? But it still really challenged a lot of internalized racist thoughts that I had. This kind of notion of, you know, we're not meant to be talking, we're not meant to be seen, we're not worthy of being seen, and kind of challenging that. And I think that was turning point number one, understanding even though I work within these kind of social fields, it doesn't mean that I know everything.
Yeah.
Like I think in whatever we do, there's this kind of, I learned that we need a certain kind of humility, knowing that we might know a little, but it's truly only a little. It's truly only a facet out of my perspective and how I see the world. And there's so many things more to learn. And it's fine to make mistakes, but kind of acknowledging that even knowledge is, that the knowledge that we hold is limited. that is definitely a turning point. There was
Mm-hmm.
we were part of the public broadcasting station for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
That was
Yeah.
definitely also a turning point
Mm-hmm.
because I learned a lot, and the deal ended last year, and then we now are a media startup, and I think that was also a turning point to be like to go another step of like I will not rely on institutions, and we will be so bold to just see whether with what we're trying to do, whether there is a market for it. Understanding
yeah.
this whole thing not just as a social cause, but also understanding this as a firma, as an Unternehmen, as a startup, right?
Yeah.
And that has been challenging, but it's so much fun. I really do love it, and this is only the beginning of something that, of a big dream that we hold in our team.
Yes, yeah.
And just like a small thought, like small thing, all of this, yes, obviously I'm the one who's in front of the camera, and oftentimes the show is like connected to me, but none of that is possible without like a very, very strong and very loving team, Everyone's
For
very,
sure,
die
yeah.
arbeiten alle sehr sinngetrieben, haben sehr
genau.
viel Liebe und Wärme. And especially it's those structures or that kind of team that really deserves love and acknowledgement.
Yeah.
And also, your team is also quite diverse, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
So whatever we do in front of the camera, it needs to happen behind the camera. To me, it needs to be a holistic approach to media making. To me, there's no point because that's in Germany. 25% of Germany's population has is racialized or is assumed to be of color. Whereas when you look at the editorial offices, it's only maximum 5% of the people
People of
editors.
color.
Yes. Which again is kind of like, yeah, Germany, you've been messing up. We've been telling you. You haven't been listening, and I don't think you're still not listening, even though I am acknowledging there's a little things happening right now within the media field. Yes, I think this is, it's crucial in order to do inclusive content, empathetic content, respectful content, decolonial storytelling.
Right.
You need those voices and perspectives behind the camera, full stop. And not just behind the camera, but also management. You need them in
Exactly,
management. So it's a top-down and like bottom-up approach of like systematic change. That is my theory, I'm not sure. Let's talk again in 10 years, maybe I'm wrong, but I think this is how...
Even though you are willing to do something, you are willing to change something, but if the material structure is already fixed in a certain way, then a single person, individual cannot change this.
Also, you shouldn't let the people, this structure itself, do not appropriate your content for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not a problem of people of color, but it's a problem of all of us. Yeah, you're hungry, right? Yeah.
Please.
I would love to try also this one, the köfte mit chili.
This one.
Yeah.
So nice.
Next
It's a
time.
kind of Okay, let me try.
Nice, right?
No. It's spicy.
I love it.
I feel very lucky to having this space for our cooking and talk show. Thanks for 우브든텔러란. And I remember in 2015 that I participated building the space, the furniture for this space with the architect student in Technical University in Berlin, also with Farouk and Kais from Syria. And here we invited Ani, an organizer of 우브든텔러란, and I hope to hear that what's this place for meant to be for her. And not for her, but yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so first of all, we're delighted to have you here. And I mean, the space in our work is all about basically facilitating encounter between like people from different cultures and from different backgrounds. And I think this concept fits perfectly into the space because it's all about like encounters between like peoples of different cultures and backgrounds, and actually mainly over the topic of food. So what we try to do with the space is like we try to create something like open and like really accessible that looks like inviting. You can see from the outside what's going on in here. Like we try to keep the door open so people can come in and like see what we're doing and talk to us. So we don't have this approach of like, okay, we work here like separate as an organization and then have stuff like we offer to the like outside, but it's really like we invite people to come in and join us and get active themselves. So like if you guys would be like, hey, I really like this, I would like to do like a kimbap class, you would be welcome to do that. Please come and make it. So yeah.
And also, I heard that Ubuntu Tolerance started with this cookbook concept, right?
So we actually have 3 cookbooks by now, and like we've been in the space since 2015, but the whole like idea started in 2013. And it was like 4 students who came up with an idea, and the context was that there was like a protest camp of like refugees and migrants in Kreuzberg. Exactly. And I mean, there was a lot of contested opinions around it, and then they were like, hey, we want to like basically have that like encounter over something that really connects everyone, and that is like food, right? And so they went there and like did that, and then from that they made like a cookbook, and I don't know, like the organization just like grew organically a lot over the years. So it's we're not only here in Berlin, but we have like groups all over like Germany, and even like in Colombia and Czech Republic and Austria. There's like groups. It's not that we organize it, but like it's people coming to us and be like, hey, we love what you do, can you like support us, we want to do something similar. So by now we have like actually published 2 other cookbooks, but all with the topic of like the last one, for example, is like chefs and refugees who cook together and create like fusion kitchen meals, and it's not only about like the mere cooking, but also about like, of course, the dialogue and the actual encounter between those like 2. So yeah, first of all, what you said about integration, that's really the way we see it. It's not like we want to like help someone to integrate or like have a particular vision of like certain people should like behave, which is I think unfortunately still very common in Germany in this discourse. So we have this sort of buzzword of like eye-level encounter, because we really believe that like we all have to like learn stuff and we all have to like teach and give stuff. So that's like why we really invite everyone to participate. And also, I mean, of course, like you communicate certain things to the outside and also like to like funding sources, etc. But we try to also like transcend this like category of refugee, migrant, German, while still obviously acknowledging that like the livelihoods and lives are very different for different people.
I think I'm having a little bit trouble of like kind of being like completely supportive of this kind of approach. I am supportive in terms of like, I do think it's so important that we have encounters. It's so important that we have emotional connections, personal connections. But I think what I would be missing is the systematic change, you know, because this encounter is only personal. We can, you know, try to be eye level. We can cook together. But if I am someone who is in a position of power, and if I'm wealthy, and if I am white, and if I am, you know, heterosexual, and you are not all of those things, there's a power dynamic, and I can still be like, yeah, I love your food, I love your culture, and I can still go to my job and not employ you because I feel like you might be a little bit whatever it is, you know. So it's like this. I think it's so important that we do have that personal encounter at the same time. I don't think this is enough, or at least German history has not shown that is enough. The German context has shown that this is that it leads like so much more. So it's like on one way, so nice to have that at the other side. How can we like take that and also implement into like systematic change?
Totally. Like I am 100% with you, and that's actually an internal discussion that we have frequently. Like how like explicitly politically like do we want to be? I guess for us. I guess it's just like a different approach. Like we still are active in other spaces. We go to demonstrations and like try to get involved in other like in the same field, but from other like angles. And yeah, I mean, it's so interesting that you say that because it really picks up something we really work with. I guess I do get the critique of like, but that's like personal level is not enough. definitely it isn't. But then if you see that there are actually like, we have so many like friendships and like connections that have formed through our work, even when there was this power balance of like, okay, you are my mentor, I'm your mentee, and you show me like, you know, German labor market or whatever. But, you know, 5 years later, the people still hang out and like have that friendship that they wouldn't have otherwise. So I guess, yeah.
I don't think systematic change is possible without the personal connection.
Yep.
So I think that's for sure. And I do see like the relevance of like having that emotional connection. I just don't think it needs more. And I don't have the answers. It's just an assumption. It's not like I've been working in that field for long, right? But I can just assume that this is so important, and how can we amplify that energy into systematic and structural and institutional change so that it really becomes a holistic kind of way of. And I don't like the word integration, but transformation. How can we go into a energy of a transformation and really move into a I see you. We're so different, but we can make this happen. We're gonna make this happen. And while we do that, can you teach me how to make like kimbap? Like, can you teach me like what you do, what you cook?
Yeah, so it's really interesting if you think about like structures and like individuals and how, you know, how do they connect? Like you could say, okay, structures are somehow like above us, below us, but then you could also say people, you know, structures are made by and through and from people in the end.
Yeah, and also engagement and also politicizing oneself. It comes from mostly, personal relationship. That's my experiences. So yeah, we had great experiences today, making kimbap together, sharing kimbap together, and also sharing all the infrastructure here. The kitchen infrastructure made by your hands. Yeah, thank you so much for that, and thank you so much for having us. And it was so much fun.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah.